So we're getting ready to leave Thaiwatsadu. Been here for over 3 hours trying to get a well pump. I had pre-shopped these, had one picked out. We went in, we talked to them extensively about it to make sure. First off, I tried to ask them if there's a low water shutoff on it. Oh, you don't need that. Remember that? That's what it started out. And it took, 30 minutes to get through that? They kept wanting to sell me a tank level shutoff. I said, that's for the tank, that's for the other pump. Finally, they called somebody at home, I think, because I heard chickens crowing in the background. And the guy said, no, they're built into the pump, which I know some of them are. So I believed him. And this pump that I had picked out, and they recommended, because they said, this is the good pump for you. After 45 minutes to an hour, I don't know what it was, they finally said, I said, yeah, give me that pump. Oh, we don't have any. What? No, we don't have any. It'd be 2 weeks before you get them. Oh, Christ. I need a pump. So we're looking at the one next to it. The next one's smaller. It's an 1.25 inch line. It was a 1 horse pump, 1 horsepower.
One horse. Yeah.
1 horsepower. The one I wanted to buy was 1.5 horsepower with a 1.5 inch line. But they didn't have that one. So they said, this will work, and it would. It met all the specifications, but it's a 1.25 inch line. I said, okay, fine, give it to me. But the wire on the pump is only 30 meters long. I need another 50 meters of wire, or excuse me, another 35 meters of wire. So we go over. They don't have additional pump wire. You got to buy regular wire. We spent 30 minutes going through the wire. I'm just going to make it a short story. 30 minutes later, after making 16 rounds through the wire and different options and whatever, we ended up having to buy 100 meters of wire because it was cheaper than scabbing together what they could find as an alternative to get my 35, 40 meters that I needed. If I'd have bought it scabbed together, it'd have been 4,400 baht. A 100 meter roll of the 4 wire was 4,500 baht. So for 100 baht more, I got 100 meters instead of the scabbed together 40 meters. Got through that whole deal. Then I needed the connectors to hook the wires together. They didn't understand submersible connectors. They were just trying to sell me wire connectors. Took another 30 minutes to get through that. And finally, one young kid got involved in it, and he's like, oh, let's go over here. And most helpful kid through the whole process. Once he got involved, we started finding some shit. But anyhow, we got over, we found the submersible, heatable, shrinkable, underwater connectors. But we're still on this 1.25 inch tubing. So we go back over to get the tubing. They don't have 1.25 inch tubing. They don't stock 1.25 inch tubing. They don't have fittings for 1.25 inch tubings. They don't have adapters for 1.25 inch tubing. Nil, nothing, nada. After half an hour trying to fit the 1.5 inch tubing into the 1.25 inch hole and the 1.25 inch well plate at the top, we figured out they don't have the fittings to adapt it. So then it was like, screw it all. Call Ubon. Ubon has the right pump, which is the 1.5 inch pump. So then I just asked them or something. I think I don't know. I asked them in my sloppy Thai and they didn't understand me. But anyhow, they said, yeah, we could just buy the display one, which is 1.5 inch, which they had the tubing and the fittings and everything for. So I said, okay, let's get that in the cart. We load it up in the cart, get the other one out of the cart. Okay, let's get the tubing. Let's get the 1.5 inch wellhead plate. Oh, we don't have one. Wait, let's check up here. They go up here, dig through a box. They find one, they bring it down, they show it to me, and the threads are flat on one side of it. And they want me to use it. And I said, no, I'm not going to use it. Oh, it'll still thread in there. And it did. No, and it wasn't, they weren't smash flattened. They were flattened because they weren't threaded properly at the factory. I said, no, that's going to leak because there's no threads there. It's just going to run water right out past it. So forget it. I don't want it. Just put everything away. Let's just go to Ubon. The young kid that I talked about earlier comes over. Hey, let me take a look. He climbs the ladder, gets up there, finds another box. Boom, he's got the right wellhead plate. So now we're back on with the 1.5 inch tubing with the 1.5 horse motor. Okay, I need some eye bolts because I got to tie the rope. I don't know if you know anything about wells. I got to tie the rope to the eye bolt inside the head plate so that if something breaks, you got a rope to pull the pump out. Head over there. They can't find it. Same young kid shows up over there. Oh, let me help you. Runs around for maybe less than a minute. Oh, here they are right here. So we find the eye bolts and we have to find the nuts, wash it. Anyhow, 3 hours later, running circles for 3 hours, we finally got everything we need. Except I forgot to grab a bunch of extra black tape to tape the wire and the rope to the tubing.
Love to chopping at Ubuan.
But anyhow, we did finally get everything we needed except the extra black tape, but I can get that in town. I am thrashed. My brain is melted. I just want to get on the road, go find something to eat. We ain't doing anything else the rest of the day. I don't plan to. I might go out later if we get home in time when we go out to feed the fish, measure the depth of that well again to make sure. I mean, I know it hasn't changed, but I've got to know exactly what it is now because I got to cut that tubing to keep that well pump 4 meters off the floor, the bottom of the well. So anyway, it's been a hell of a day. Kind of stressful at times. There's 52 times I wanted to just throw my hands up and say, forget it, just walk out. But I know I can't. I know we're in Thailand. I know they do things different. They never want to say no. They never want to say, I don't know. In the end, we got through it. It was 22,000. How much? 22,000. 22. Where's it at? 20, where's it at? Why is there two of them?
So only pump is 16.
16,410.
Yeah, and little stuff.
So let me do the math real quick. 21, 22, 287. 22,287 baht. Yep. And then we got to get Steve a calculation here so he don't cry himself to sleep tonight. 22,287. $634 for 130 meters of wire, 50 meters of tubing, the fittings, the well plate, the controller, and the pump. Horse and a half, 1.5 inch pump. $634. That's cheap, folks.
For the tape?
That includes the shrink fittings and the underwater tape.
Enough for using?
No. It's gonna take 5 rolls of black tape. You're supposed to tape. Okay, I'm gonna get off here. We're gonna tie this video in with the actual well pump project. We'll do probably in a couple days. Dave, gotta love Thailand. This is the video you've been waiting for. We're installing a well pump today. It's shortly after 8 a.m. The cowboys normally come out with their cows around 10 a.m. I want to have this pump in there and secured before they get out here. So the plan is, I've already got the fitting on the end of the pump. Got the wellhead plate in the truck, the fittings on that. So basically all we need to do is roll out this hose, string out the electrical wire, and tie the rope to the pump and run it out. And we put the tubing in the coupler, and then we just start rolling it out, get it rolled out, start taping the rope and the wire to the side of the pump, the tubing, all the way out until we get to the end of this 30 meter cable run. The end of that, then we got some wire there that I don't agree with, but that's all they had, and they said that's what everybody uses. But anyhow, then we'll switch over to that, tie that in, splice it, and then run it out to the end, and then we'll continue taping it all the way to the end. I need a total of 50 meters. And yesterday morning, we dropped a weight in there, measured it again. It is 54.5 meters from the top of here. I want that about 5 meters off the bottom. So we're going to put exactly 50 meters from the bottom of this pump to the wellhead plate. With that said, I'm going to get started because, like I said, I want to get this done before the cattle get out here and start wandering around in these fields. And we got decent cloud cover. Sun shouldn't be out for a while, so that's a good thing for us. And with that said, I think I'm just going to set this camera aside, let it run, and let you all see what happens here. That looks better. Is there a cone in there? Let me make sure. Yes, there's a cone in there. So this cone goes in that cone, and that's what pinches it down. It butts up against this, which pushes against the O-ring to seal it. This goes in as far as you can get it. Slide this in tight. Slide this down. Now we tighten it. Okay, this is a special waterproofing tape. It chemically reacts with itself to create a seal if installed properly. To install it properly, I'm going to peel out a piece. It's not real sticky.
Have you used this before?
Yes. Peel this plastic off the back. As you can see, I already have some on here. So I need to get this up in the air so I can get working on it. So in order for this to work, you got to stretch it till it turns like a gray color and just keep it stretched. You see it won't stick, but once it comes around, contacts itself, it will stick. And here it's not so much the waterproofing, but I'm using it as a security to keep the nut from coming loose. It will create the waterproof seal, but it will also keep the nut in place. And if you see I rub on that, oops,
It will stick.
it will stick to itself. You don't want any twists in this.
It looks like rubber.
Huh? What?
It's like rubber.
Yeah, it is.
That's the same thing.
Nope. This is a regular black electrical tape. This is just going to hold. I'm going to put a band around here to just help hold that stuff in place. We're just going to stack this one straight up for a couple reasons, and you'll see why later. Okay, right here.
Is that this regular tape?
Regular black electrical tape, yes.
Oh, electrical.
Okay, as long as it's clean though, it'll stick. Okay, this one's done. Now we're gonna run out the wire and the rope, tie the rope to here, and then we'll start taping everything together at about 2-foot intervals all the way out till we need to splice that. We'll make the electrical splice, and then we'll just continue taping till we hit the wellhead plate, which is up here. These 2 wires together, there's 30 meters of this. You have to run the last 20 meters on this stuff they sold us. We've got pre-soldered shrink fittings here. So when you heat it up, the solder melts and welds the wires together, and then heat shrinks it down to seal it. We will wrap it with the waterproof tape and then black tape. We'll do each wire independently, we'll do them all together, and then we'll tape it to the side of here, and we'll continue on down the line. So right about here is where the battery died on my time-lapse camera. So as a result, I did not get any video of us dropping the pump in the well. It wasn't very eventful. All we did is I put some pit on the other end. She held up this head plate so it wouldn't drag through the dirt as we come across the field. And I lifted the pump up, dropped it in there, and just fed down through the pipe until she got up here, and we just set it in there. Everything went well, no issues. So once we got that in there, I used the camera that I normally use on the dash of the truck because it had a full charge battery in it. I used that to shoot this next piece. As you just saw, we got the pump in the well. It took us right at 2 hours is what I figured. She's going out to clean up some mess now. We ran out of tape on the very last piece, so we barely had enough tape, and I think I used 8 rolls of regular black tape and 5 rolls of that waterproof stuff. But yeah, we got it in there. Now we just got to hook the electrical. I left a bunch of extra electrical wire there, probably 8 to 10 meters, so that later on, whenever I decide where I'm going to put the controller for the pump, I can do that. But for now, I've got a small controller that came with the pump. Where's it at? Right here, that just has an outlet plug on it. So for now, we're just gonna pop a hole in the bottom of that box right there, run the plug up through there, plug it in, wire it into this controller, probably mount the controller right there below that box, and blow water. This thing is going to be a mega blaster for water. 70 liters a minute. That's about 18 gallons a minute. That's a shit ton of water. It might not quite be that high because that's at 57. Yeah, that's right, 57 meters. And we're at 50. So, yeah, it's going to be about right. It's going to be a lot of water. But I didn't get any attachments for the top half here to get the water out of the way, so I'm not going to fire it up yet. We'll get it wired. We'll go to town, get a 90, and maybe hook that tubing on it or something and just kind of point it that way and turn it on and blow water that way. And just as I finished up, battery on the other camera died, so we're on the little dash mount Insta360 right now. But yeah, let me get this stuff. First, we're going to take a break because we haven't stopped in 2 hours. And then clouds are gone, the sun's out, it's hot. We're going to take a break, get this mounted and wired, and then we'll get back to you. So then I got all the electrical hooked up. While I was doing that, I took the battery out of the other camera, put it in this camera that I'm using right now, and I videoed us starting the well up. But as you just saw, it was still in time-lapse mode, so I didn't get a good video of the startup of the well. Again, it went without any issues. It flipped the switch, it started pumping water right away. But today we're back out here. We've got a couple of projects. First one is we're going to sanitize this well with this, which is about 12% chlorine bleach. sodium hypochlorite. As we spoke before, we've got about 50 feet of water column in this pipe. It's 6-inch pipe that gives us around 280 gallons of water. This at 12% dumped into that volume of water should give us about a 500 part per million concentration of bleach. So I want to dump that in there and get that sanitized, but I'm going to dump it in there. So before I dump it in there, I'm going to fill these 2 buckets. If you can see them in the camera, I don't know if you can, but I got 2 buckets here. I'm going to fill these with water. We'll dump the bleach. We'll chase it with the water just to rinse the pipe and everything down. And to kind of help mix up the water down there, we're going to leave it set for a while I go over and water plants. Then I'll come back. We'll put an extended pipe on there, and we'll just start pumping water to help get that chlorine down through the entire water column and to recycle that water out. The water that's in here has been sitting in here since February. It did smell stagnant yesterday when we ran it. So we want to get that water out of there, but I wanted to chlorinate it too. Just for the record, we have no intention of ever drinking this water. We'll continue to use bottled water, but I do want it clean. Like I said, it's been sitting in there since February. The top of it wasn't completely sealed. When we pulled the cap off it, actually we sawed it off right here. When we got back this year, when we sawed this off there was at least 1 lizard that came out of there. So we know there's probably some dead animals down in the bottom of that somewhere. Okay, once we get this thing fired back up, we got another little project. Last night after we got the well running, we went and met with this new builder, P&D House. We finalized some of the little details on the house, told them we were ready for a contract. During that conversation, they figured out that I plan on adding a covered parking living area on this side of the house, actually starting about right here, a meter from this well. And they said, hey, can we give you a number on that? I said, sure, no problem. So they're working on a number for this outside covered area for us. Based on the house and the exterior wall, the surrounding wall, the numbers they gave us on that, I think they'll probably have a good number on this outside area. As I told them, I talked to other builders about it, and they're wanting to charge the same price per square meter for the outside areas they do the house, and I thought that was ridiculous. I'm not going to pay it. But they can give me a number. If it's too high, I'll let them build the house, and I'll do the rest myself. But with that said, we are waiting for a number, but we did tell them we're ready for a contract on this wall. They're going to get us that contract. We'll take some time to read it. So hopefully by somewhere next week, we'll be starting to build a wall out here, and shortly thereafter, we'll start on a house. The problem that came up yesterday is when I put these wires in, I did not account for them doing this outside area. And that outside area, as I said, is going to start right about a meter from here, probably right about here, which puts it right about where that pole is. So with that said, I'm probably going to have to move that pole back. If you recall, when I did the wires in the video, I think it just came out yesterday or a couple days ago. It was the last video that came out. We put these wires in. I ran out of wire right here, so I had to put the pole clear back away from the well. So I don't have an option of just moving the pole over. I'm going to have to move the pole back because that's all the longer the wires are. I did, however, leave a bunch of extra wire for this wellhead pump, so I could unravel that and move that pole back over there if I need to. But what I'll do today is I'll measure that out. If I think it'll clear, I'll leave it. And if nothing else, I can just drop those wires down the pole. We can build the roof over the top of it and the concrete floor next to it and remove the wires later on if we need to. But we'll figure that out later today. Right now, the priority is get this thing sanitized. So let's do that. First things first, we're going to get some water in these buckets. Then we'll slide the wellhead over. We'll dump the bleach in and we'll chase it with this water just to kind of rinse everything down. So here's our official video startup of the well. Come on, water. There it is. A lot of gallons per minute, friends. Thing's putting out a ton of water. That's a full 1.5 inch pipe. I don't like how that jumps like that, but it's going to happen. They all do it. So anyhow, okay, so we got our water. Let's get our wellhead slid over. Dump my bleach down there. Like I said, this is a half gallon of 12% household bleach, which is strong. I think in the US they only run like 6%, if I remember right. But this is, I don't know, industrial duty, because 12% is what we used in the meat industry for sanitizing. Well, we use 12% to mix with water to sanitize. So as I said earlier, I just want to dump this in there, dump some water down behind it, just kind of rinse everything down with that water and kind of dilute the top of that real quick. I'll do a gallons per minute test on this thing later today. Sorry, I'm standing in your way. There's not much to see. I'm just trying to dump this down there without spilling a lot of it. Okay, now we're just going to leave that set for 20 minutes or so while I go water the plants. We'll come back. We'll fire this up. I actually got a long piece of PVC pipe there. I'll put that long one on there, get it out over the edge so I ain't making a muddy mess here. We'll get it out there. I'll probably have to put something under it to support it. But yeah, we'll get this thing turned on and we'll just let it run for, I don't know, a while till I feel comfortable that we've circulated everything really well. So with that said, let me get over there and water some plants. And as you can see, the freaking bovine have invaded me again. There. Cowboy or whatever you want to call him, nowhere to be seen. I haven't seen anybody this morning. But these were the ones I was talking about in the video a couple days ago. Big, beautiful, nice, green, thick, lush grass. It's all gone because they sit here and did this and nobody tries to stop them. But, and again, this doesn't really matter because we're going to dig all that up next week anyhow when we put a wall in there. It's all going to be ripped out of there. So it ain't that big a deal. It's just the point. In the West, somebody be either shooting those cattle or suing the guy or something. I don't know. But they wouldn't get away with this in the West. But it's one of the good things about Thailand. It's not regulated. And you can kind of do what you want, when you want, where you want. It is what it is. Let me get over there and water some plants.
All the stuff for the pizza the next day, which I know that you would.
Okay, so I'm online here right now with Dave, Gotta Love Thailand, and the whole group of guys. Just a shout out to everybody there.
I think 5, 10, 15, 20 or 25. So I've got to make.
Anyhow, let me stop this for a minute.
Make one bag.
So, as I said, we went and watered the plants, and we're going to put a pipe on here. Let this thing cycle for a while. So first things first, let me get that pipe. I did procure a 3-meter long pipe to get this out over the field, off the property. International replacement for duct tape, a zip tie this to a pole to help hold the weight. Now, I'm going to go start the pump. We're just going to let this run for a while. I'm going to sit here and chat with Dave and the guys and gals. A lot of water. I estimated there was 870 liters of usable water in this well. So even if the tank, for some reason, would go dry, the storage tank, I'm going to put in about 800 to 1,000 liter tank. So this well would have to pump completely dry and nothing come back in order for this thing to run dry. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. Because when we drilled it, it had a good flow rate coming in. So I'm pretty confident it'll keep full. But being how this is the first time I've run it long term, I'm going to sit here and watch it to make sure we don't have any problems. So with that said, I'm going to call this well project a wrap. Thanks for joining us, Paradise in Thailand.